Welcome to the NoScript show, where we are 100% endgame spoiler free. I'm Wogan, got my co-host Wotan here. How are you doing?
Greetings from the dark Wait, no, that's not my line.
You don't have a line. You can find us on noscriptshow.com.
Or on Twitter at wait, what's your Twitter handle?
It's my Twitter handle is at WoganMay, and yours is at WotanZA, and they're both on
Yes.
noscriptshow.com. Really,
Yes.
just go to the website, please. I spent like a whole 20 minutes building it, so
Please validate Wogan's effort.
it's fine. I don't need validation. The internet gives me plenty.
Does it though?
No, it doesn't. Internet is harsh and cruel. So we
Yeah.
are recording pretty late for some reason. Like half of it's my fault. I found Brooklyn Nine-Nine on Netflix and just started watching.
Yeah. Okay, so all white people are no longer allowed to say that black people are perennially late. Wogan just ruined that for all of you niggas. All of you niggas have lost that right.
As a representative of the Department of White People, I am genuinely sorry. but also...
Wogan just done fuck that up for all you niggas. That shit's out now. You don't have that joke anymore.
Dude, half the episode had to do with Terry Crews dealing with the fact that he's getting older. It was cool to watch. So I just got stuck into it.
Fair enough.
And then the other half was you went to some kind of gun festival?
Yeah.
Where were you today?
Well, but I got back at like 5. The other half is that Conscious Caracal had to have his live stream on when we were normally recording. So much like the Democratic Party of America, we refuse to accept any blame for us being late at anything. Just it's all other things.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, I did go to the Firearms Festival, mostly sponsored by GOSA, Gun Owners of South Africa, and
Cool.
and had a strong Purple Cow presence there as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no, the man himself, Canthan, was there, as was Roman, who for a married man seems to get all the hot girls' photos with him.
Dude, all's fair.
Like, can you throw a nigga a bone, Roman? Like, really? No, really, it was.
I have nothing to say to that. Absolutely nothing.
No, but it was a really cool festival. It is a firearms festival whereby you get to pay various vendors to fire various weapons, and you get to learn about firearms safety and gun rights and all that sort of thing. So, with gun rights there, Purple Cow is strongly there. And it's actually a lovely environment. Very family friendly, actually. Lots of whole families, couples having competitions as to who's the better shooter.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it was cool. I had the honor of firing 2 rounds from, I guess you would call it a 50 cal, but it's actually a 12.7 by, never mind. Anyway, it's the big ass, for those of you who are not gun smart, it's that gigantic 50 cal anti-material rifle thing that you people occasionally hear about. That's like the length of a car.
Right.
I got to fire that at about 250 Rand a round. You have to know how expensive each round. And I fired 2 rounds of that. Maybe I'll post it to the show's account. But honestly, it felt like, I don't know, for lack of a better word, it felt like my cock was made of concrete after firing it. And
Okay,
it's
so
still, I've had a throbbing
explain-
erection since.
That explains the tweet that I saw completely out of context. Like, okay.
Which tweet is this now?
No, the one about your concrete.
Member.
Yeah.
Well, I've had a throbbing erection for the last three hours, so...
So I'd like to apologize to any moderate Purple Cow voters who listened to that last 30 seconds and concluded we're a bunch of gun-crazy nutcases. That's literally just Odin.
Yeah, it is just me.
And like half of the party. So actually, fun story. International elections opened this week, and all day today, I've been seeing people posting from like Prague, London, a couple of other places that they're voting.
Shout out to Mr. Dlamini, Mpiake Dlamini,
Yeah.
the Economic Freedom Foundation guy.
Oh yeah, why?
he did a calculation, and according to his numbers, to get the 10 seats that Purple Cow wants or needs in the election, they only, I'll get his tweet pinned up some point, but they only need like less than like 20 or 30% of the international votes.
Oh, cool. Well, assuming
That's not even counting local votes. If all the foreign voters vote for, if of all the foreign voters voting in the SA election, if like I think he said like 20% or something. If 20% of them vote Purple Cow, then they've already got the 10 seats that they're looking for in Parliament.
Well, in either case, there are just votes coming in, which is pretty cool to see. That the party has technically.
The best was seeing what's it Fikile Mbalula, Mr. Fear
Dude,
Foko.
you're a black man. How are you screwing up these names?
Because I've had whiskey.
Okay. Carry on. Sorry. Fikile Mbalula, yes.
Mbux, as he likes to call himself.
Mr. Fear Foko, the ANC.
Yeah, Mr. Fear Foko. The funny thing was seeing him.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Jesus. Sorry.
Like it's okay for me to act like I'm 12. You know, like when I got that happy birthday message and I responded with Star Wars memes. So,
dude, didn't Mark Hamill get into trouble today? Like,
did he?
Yeah, he posted something about what could have been, and there's an edit of like him and Billy D. Williams and the chick Cassie, who played Princess Leia. And apparently the woke...
So Billy D. Williams is Lando, guys, for you fucking uncultured swine who don't know who Billy D. Williams is.
Yeah, he tagged it, #missed opportunities. It's Harrison Ford, I keep forgetting her name, Billy D. Williams and all him. But apparently the internet dogpiled him for that and he had to apologize. All the people who call Star Wars fans toxic attacked him for this thing. Dude, I gotta see
what?
Yes.
Do you mean Carrie Fisher?
Carrie Fisher, there we go. I don't know why I said Cassie, but Carrie Fisher. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got sidetracked.
I'm also like, I personally take... But anyway, back to the... Wait, we are digressing like crazy on this episode. The funniest part about the foreign voting is good old Mbux.
Mm-hmm.
He... fuck, I hate Fikile. Anyway, good old Mbux tweets, today we are voting. Everyone's in gear. And there are ANC members voting in London. And I think it was Rudy. Shout out to Rudy, who's a fan of the show, who replies to him, even ANC members are immigrating to London. So I was like, yes. Like, how are you like, fuck you, imperialists? But also, you guys have moved to London. Please vote for us. Like the ANC the ANC and the EFF are to imperialist ideas and imperialist money what cats are to opening the door and letting them out. Let me out, but also fucking close the door. Oh no, wait, better analogy. It's like petting a cat. It's like, oh, I'm gonna walk between your legs, entice you to pet me, and the minute you do, I'm gonna bite your hand. Like. Yeah. What?
Yeah, no, that's the ANC. But also, there's at least 3 different ANCs now, I swear to God, because Ace Magashule is pulling out every Mugabe tactic that he can think of. Now, apparently, there's this huge conspiracy against
Ace.
him.
Why?
Because I saw, there was an interview that somebody put out there where some young black journo, I forget the name, was like challenging him directly on a bunch of stuff in the State of Gangsters book,
Also, I love that the ANC, a day after the Gangster State book came out, said this book is propagandist and all that. There is no way in hell anyone in the ANC could have read that book in a day. I've heard Jay-Z do speeches. Half you niggas couldn't read a fucking children's book in a week. Don't tell me you've read that whole Gangster State book in a day.
But like, so regardless, in this interview, he basically he played out the same stall tactics. He was like, there's an orchestrated conspiracy against me, and you know, like these people are all leaking information. And the journalist's like, okay, well then go to court. And Ace was like, no, you know, you'll see, I'll go to court at the appropriate time, which is code for there is no case, but I want to drag this out as long as I can. And now it's kind of escalated to the point where he's going to start blaming the CIA if he hasn't already of like interfering in the elections. Or
Yes,
some
because
shit.
the CIA gives a fuck about South Africa.
Guys, they don't. They don't. Like,
They
they
really
seriously don't.
don't.
But it's like,
I'm willing to eat nothing but fucking banting and vegan food if somebody can prove to me beyond a shadow of a doubt that the CIA gives more than a fleeting fuck about South Africa.
yeah,
I'm willing to state that on it. Speaking of vegan food, how was the Beyond Burger?
it was definitely not meat. Um,
But
I
I would say it's made strides. It's made strides. Like
it
it's nowhere
has.
near as horrible as I thought it was.
But for me, the interesting part of the experience was that I had a certain amount of reaction to it, which was far lower than the reaction the internet had to it. A lot of
Yeah,
people have very deeply
people.
held opinions about beef.
Yeah, people
Like,
lost their
guys,
shit. Essentially, all we did was make an innocuous tweet. It's like, hey, we tried out this vegan burger. Oh my god, how dare you! It's like I post a picture of a fucking vegan burger, and people act like I'm the Dark Lord. I've come to your village, razed your buildings to ground, sold your siblings into slavery, and raped your women and children. Like, what? No, come on, guys, get off it.
I just it like it's I
And
get it.
here's
Like,
the thing. Yeah, so just the thing. The most common question I saw was, why do vegans always try to make food like actual meat? And I can't purport to speak for all vegans, but I would say this: if we one day, and I think we've said this before on the show, could have a totally non-meat alternative, that is to say, either some sort of plant composite or lab-grown meat, where the animal didn't have to die, because let's be honest, factory farming is fucking horrible,
yep,
and it's a necessity for all of us to have meat, then I would gladly have that vegan stuff that looks like meat. So maybe that's why a lot of people
yeah,
want stuff that looks like meat. We're trying to approximate it without the suffering. And I say this as someone, again, factory farming is terrible, and my family has a farm. I've slaughtered animals for traditional rights and reasons many times before. Unlike most meat eaters who are piling in on me, which again, I'm still a meat eater, I've actually slaughtered animals, and it is fucking terrible, guys. It is tiring, thirsty work, and yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I just like for me, it's just amazing because yes, we all eat and we all have opinions about food, but it's like, like the whole thing about vegans, right? It's not the people that eat a vegetable-based diet that are really a problem. It's the people that can't shut the fuck up about it. They're the ones who give everyone else a
Yes.
bad name. So whenever someone's like, "Oh my god, you're eating fake meat, you're a bad person," you're just as bad, guys. Like, you're just as bad as the rest.
Yes.
Just
Well,
keep
actually,
it in your
it's
pants.
funny
Seriously,
you
we don't need to
mentioned
see that. Yeah.
I've dated 2 vegetarians in my lifetime.
Right.
Okay, and the one was an example of the sort of fucking crazy. You're terrible for eating meat, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
in fact, I wonder why the relationship went on as long as it did. Oh yeah, because for sexual reasons. But
There we
anyway,
go. You didn't even have to say it. You could have just let that hang in the air for like 10 seconds and then carry on. We would have got the inference, but yes, yes.
um, but yeah, like she was one of those. Like, if I had a hamburger, she wouldn't kiss me until I'd brushed my teeth, type thing.
Damn.
That's the level of, yeah. So she was an example of the bad vegetarians, and then sometime later I sort of dated another girl who's like, no, I'm happy to even fry your meat for you, I just don't want to eat it
Yeah.
myself.
You
Like,
see, that's actually the difference between an authoritarian and a libertarian, almost like
yeah,
in two women, because both of them don't eat meat, but only one of them will make it your problem if you do. Like that's the entire difference summed up in a nutshell. No, but it's just like I found it entertaining that so many people feel like they have the obligation to tell you why you're wrong when you do something that has nothing to do with them. It's just like, guys, it's cool. Just, let me eat what I want to eat. Like, if you knew half about the rest of my life, you would think I was crazy. So let me just have this without,
a lot of shit happened in our whole birthday, actually. We should probably discuss some of that.
Oh, I made a list. I actually, because I'm supposed to write a blog post every week. I don't normally do that. But I did actually I wrote out a bullet point list afterwards, and there was quite a lot that happened.
Okay, well, hit us.
Can I start in reverse and let's talk for a second about the excellent SAPS work under the DA's leadership in the Metro of Tshwane? Because
You mean us being robbed at practically being robbed at gunpoint by the police?
practically that, yes.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. So, I don't know. Shall we start with the extortion story on Monday morning? Because that feels like we should best going into.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, yeah, I've still thought about it for a couple of days afterwards. And I'm just like, it's so depressing that there's nothing you can do about this. But the short
Yeah,
version of it, yeah,
we
the
should have
short,
taken numbers, but they were pretty touchy about phones as well. Like, I don't
they
know if you
were.
noticed.
Yeah, it's like so. What was interesting is after the fact, I shared to another one of my groups. It's like, yeah, we were just okay. So the whole story is that Odin was driving me back to the airport Monday morning. We had timed it that I would get there sort of on time, and then we got pulled over. You were accused of what, drunk driving, and then you did 2 breathalyzer tests. They both came back 0. Then they insisted on doing
Absolute zero.
absolute 0, 0.0, and then they insisted on doing a blood test or they were going to arrest you. Now, for most of this, I was sitting in the car on the phone to Roman while you were talking to the cops outside the car. So what actually happened there on your side?
He basically told me in no uncertain terms that he's going to make my life a misery, that he's going to lock me up after the thing, and he says even if you have a lawyer, it's going to take who knows how long to get you out, and until then you're mine, and I'm going to make you suffer.
You see, now that is some horseshit, man.
They
Fuck.
weren't protecting or serving shit. At this
No.
point, the police are. I mean, I as a libertarian have a sort of dislike for the whole police are gangs and warlords section of the libertarian movement, but fuck it. What's the difference at that point?
Yep. No, so then it ended up, what did it come down to that he wanted money-wise? I think like it ended up being a bribe, right? This is all about a bribe. And so the thing is that as we pulled up, we only realized this after the fact that they didn't introduce themselves. They had no ID, no visible name
No, I
tags.
asked him for his name, and he said, "No, you don't need to know my name."
There we go.
And they had no IDs, no badges. They refused to give ID badges name, and obviously they were quite touchy about phones. And a lot of people have tweeted us since, like, "Oh, you should have done this, or you should have done that." But as you pointed out, there's everybody says I would do X or Y until you are 2 people against 8 or 10, and you have no guns and they have plenty.
Yeah, it's like, because like I was saying, I shared this one of my other groups, and I got a whole bunch of people kind of asking me about all the stuff I didn't do. Like, why didn't you ask for the roadblock permit? And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, I learned today that apparently you need a permit to do a roadblock. So, okay, now I know. Why didn't you phone the superintendent? Why didn't you take these details down? Someone was like, oh, I would have told them to fuck off and just kept driving. I'm like, no, you wouldn't. Nobody in this situation would do that. But what's interesting is that there are either people that sort of believe you and it's like, yeah, the cops are shit. Or there's these people that live in a bubble who can't comprehend that the police would do something like this. And so they kind of make it your fault for not standing up for yourself, even though you're in a situation where even if they're fake cops, they can absolutely put you in handcuffs and take you away, even if they're not legit. Like, it's what did you call them? It's essentially warlords. It's like highwaymen,
Yeah.
highway
I
robbers.
mean,
Literally.
look, let's assume they were all legit cops.
Yeah.
I concealed carry on most days. Let's say, guys, I become that anti-state superhero and shoot this corrupt cop. Do you know what would have happened? His buddies would have shot me or Wogan, or it just wouldn't, like, you
Yeah.
need to stop living in this weird fantasy where you, with like a magazine that has infinite ammunition, can take on all the. No, guys,
Yeah, no,
it doesn't work that way. You
that's
have
not
to
it at all.
sometimes realize when they have you dead to rights, and unfortunately they had us dead to rights. Like, it's
They did. They did. And yeah, it's like in a weird way, it kind of, that was the most South African thing I did that weekend because I almost feel like I'm not a real South African unless the cops fuck with me in some way. So it's like, I've got that now. So in the end,
well,
they extorted you for cash. And then how much did they end up getting in the end?
only about 500, thanks to some elite hustling. We won't go into the details of that, but yeah.
Yeah. So where did the $2,000 come from? Because there was the notion of $2,000, and then that somehow just became $500. Like, how did that happen?
No, that's what they thought they were going to get, but they didn't actually count it out. Yeah. They didn't actually count it out. This is what happens when the police can't fucking count.
Yeah. And like, there's so much wrong with that. So after the fact, I think we both, essentially in that situation, the best advice is to just kind of go with it.
There were all sorts of responses I would have loved to say to this guy, but again, guy's got handcuffs. There's 8 or 10 of his buddies. Guys, there's bravery, there's suicidal bravery, and in this situation would have been flat out stupidity.
Yeah.
Flat. And I would have happily gone through the motions for the blood test and all that, were it not for the fact that my boy needed to get on that plane, and they were leveraging that against us.
Yeah. And even like after that stop, I literally got to the gates as they were boarding. That's how close we cut it. So yeah. But it's just like that whole thing just it infuriates you when you're in that situation, because there isn't actually anything you can do. And then after the fact, who do you report it to? I mean, on my end, I found all the civil rights groups I could and ended up reporting it to them, and I think you did the same.
Yeah, I reported the corruption to the corruption line, and I even called 702. I was like, I told them about it, and they didn't even have me on as a caller. So thanks, 702. I called them, I sent them a voice note, but thanks 702 for. Yeah. But I will say I'll thank Barry Bateman of Eyewitness News 702, who actually retweeted our story. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and it was just like that. I mean, it was like after the fact, because at first I thought, oh, legit roadblock, and then I went south very quickly, and then afterwards we put all the pieces together, and it was like, okay, this was definitely an illegal roadblock. So goddamn, this actually happens. And also, it's like now that I've come through it, it's like, okay, there are a couple of things you can do in that situation. Pulling out your gun and firing at them is not an option. No matter how many John Woo movies you've watched.
Although seeing some of the accuracy of our cops these days, maybe I would have had a chance. Except I didn't have my concealed carry on me, but maybe I would have had a chance.
Maybe.
I love how he was like, you smell like an absolute brewery. I'm like, really, dude? I was like stiff as hell, like, no,
So I guess on a lighter note, the reason you smell that way is because for some reason you wore like the exact same clothes that you did the night before. I don't know. That was a very technically interesting decision that you made.
Except I didn't smell like a brewery.
You didn't. Maybe he just has a super keen sense of smell. Or he's full of shit. Like, who knows?
Yeah, I think he was full of shit. To smell like a brewery after brushing your teeth and showering, well, not showering, but I mean, I didn't even smell like a brewery the night before, so
yeah.
Again, I think it's yeah.
Yeah, so it's like this shit happens, and it's like as much as we're both pro-gun rights, and Odin is like a very pro-gun person, that doesn't mean you just haul off and start blasting whenever you don't get your way. That's not how life works.
No, that's not. And I mean, I will say on the part of pro-gun people, like, I think people fail to understand how level-headed most actual private gun owners are.
Yep. Well, you have to be. Yeah.
Like,
so
very level-headed.
So anyway, that was the most exhilarating part of the weekend, and then the whole previous day was like the biggest cookout I've been to ever. Actually, ever. I went back and thought about it. Other than the last time I did a family reunion, this is definitely the biggest. Like, just
yes, my boy Wogan, the token white guy at an all-black Easter Sunday cookout. Tell us about your day, Wogan.
I honestly felt like a sore thumb. Like I knew I was sticking out for sure. So the whole thing was basically
I don't think you were unwelcomed though.
That was okay. So here's the thing, right? Let me sort of the whole story is, it was at was it your uncle or your aunt's place? One of them.
My aunt's place.
Place. There was about 40 odd people there.
Who's married to actually a former police detective? So maybe we should have called him.
Like after
now
the
that
fact, dude. No, but it's like, so I'm literally the only white guy there. Everyone is either welcoming or neutral. Nobody gave me any shit at all. I actually had a good time, a bunch of great conversations. And the crazy thing to me is like, as I sat there, it's like this feels exactly like every other big braai I've been to. You know, it's like people get together, they talk, drink, they chill. The food was like almost exactly the same. It's like just a great get together. And there were a bunch of people who went out of their way to welcome me, and I appreciated it as the token white guy in the new South Africa. What was it? Your tweet like halfway through? It's like I'm like the most progressive white guy at this thing, something like that.
Oh, yeah, dude, you've got maximum progressive points now. You are the only white guy, and not only that, but you actually stood and watched Black South African women sing prayer songs before we said grace
Yeah.
for dinner.
It's like okay, and this is where you have white Afrikaans families beat is the singing, for sure. Like everything else is like toe to toe. The food, the huge crowds, the prayer, but the singing, that energy, you've got us beat there. So that was cool.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Also, we paid like 300 Rand for the entire anthology of Nintendo old school games.
That was the day before. Yeah, we played 1980s video games, guys. Like
To clarify this, we were sitting in my living room playing on my Switch, and the irony is not lost on me that we use a what? When did the Switch come out? 2016?
fairly recently.
Somewhere there.
I can't remember.
Somewhere there to play 2016, 2015 console or whatever, 4th gen console, to play games, some of which were made before either of us were born.
Yep.
That is loopy. I was like, it occurred to me as we're playing, was it Balloon Fight? And
yeah.
I was just like, we're using this super advanced machine to play.
to play these old ass games that are so old you can like save them at any point because like save files weren't even a thing, so it just freezes the whole VM at that point. And I'm just like, this is literally my childhood. I remember some of those games from when I was growing up, and it's like I'm sitting here, I just turned 30 and I'm playing these games as old as I am. And it's like I remember thinking growing up, it's like, oh wow, you know, games are going to get so much better and so much more realistic, and they are. But then we're going to move away from like these pixelated platforming games. Fuck no, there are more of them than ever.
Nope.
They are, yeah, dude. It's like playing some of those games. It brought back some memories, man. Some happy and some interesting memories. So,
yeah, playing with my boy, that was a hell of a little Popeyes chicken. That was all in all, it was a hell of a birthday, actually.
It was. Although still, my favorite part is we first met at that. What was that bar at?
Is that your other point? Oh yeah, Capital Craft, Pretoria, a Pretoria institution. If I can ever call something that, an institution of the city of Pretoria or the city of Tshwane, actually.
It's all one thing. It's fine.
And we actually, and Wogan and I actually played out the whole buddy cop trope. So we were sitting at you know what the indication that I go there too often is that before I even ordered it, you can attest to this, before I even ordered my whiskey, yes, whiskey Wotan isn't just a trope, it's a thing.
No, he actually does drink a lot of whiskey. Guys, someone get him a sponsorship, please. We can't afford all the whiskey anymore.
Like, it's financially ruining me. As we pull up to this craft beer place, and you know, it's not just craft beer, craft gins and whiskeys and all that. And him and I play out the actual buddy cop trope. There's me with my suit and tie and jacket and whatever. And before I even order it, boom, he's like, "There are exactly 2 ice cubes." I'm like, "You got it." Yeah, it's just.
Although it's like, it would have been the most absurd cop scene because you were there very neatly and formally dressed. I was there in like shorts and my EV shirt, like a bright, colorful Pokemon shirt, sitting at the bar, drinking 2 tall glasses of, what was it, cherry beer or something? Like
Lindman's. Can we say brand names on the show?
Yeah, why not? Who cares?
Fuck it, Lindman's Creek, Lindmans or Lindermans. I don't know how to pronounce it because it's this weird Dutch thing.
It must be Lindermans then.
Dutch.
I think.
Somewhere from there. I think it's Dutch or Belgian. Anyway, Creek, whatever, cherry beer, yeah.
Yeah. So
and it actually does taste like cherry, guys. It's delightfully.
Yeah, I learned about cherry beer on my birthday, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Although I will say that I think probably the best moment was the first time we met and you pointed out that I was taller than you thought.
Yeah, because the jock in me is like we got to feel this because obviously I was in a day house and all that, which for our one or two international um, viewers is pretty much the closest thing we have to like American frat houses, and yeah, the jock in me is like I need to feel insecure, and the nerd in me is like, dude, does it matter?
Yeah, but like that was like an interesting start to a long and eventful weekend, which in the end I'm glad I did.
Yeah, man.
So that's it. I'm officially 30 now. I'm getting old. I know you've already passed it, so you're already okay with this. I'm not yet.
Yeah.
I still need time.
You still got your hairline going though, so you good, bruh.
Like another couple of years at most. It's gonna start receding. What's well, like you get that like bald patch at the top, but then you have like the crown around the back. Like that's where I'm
Like
heading.
the Caesar crown thing, like
Yes,
the yeah.
that's gonna be me. Either that or I lose a bunch of weight and go bald. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Oh God, but yeah, what a birthday.
It was. Thank you, buddy. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and thank you. So the next thing is it's elections in like a week and a half. Things are heating up, and
Are they?
we sure hope so. So the week after next is the election, and then hopefully soon after that's the swearing in of Parliament. So we should do like a birthday part 2 in Cape Town.
Yes, guys. We are going to have a NoScript special in Cape Town.
The problem is that we have to kind of plan for when they're going to open Parliament, and I don't know when that's going to be yet. I can't find a date anywhere.
I believe it's June, somewhere in June.
Is that so? The election's on the 8th of May, and then what? They just
Well, I spoke to Kantan today, and it's actually a fair bit after the election
Oh,
itself.
is it? Okay. All right, we've got time to plan then. That's cool. So we'll do like a couple of days in Cape Town and just like be there for the opening of Parliament. We'll try and live stream some of that.
Yeah, that would be fun. Speaking of Parliament and politics, I featured on a crossover episode with the
Oh, there was that flag video that AfriForum did.
yes, I featured on an Afroforum crossover episode thing with Roman and Germ and Evo Fechter and Big Daddy Liberty.
Yeah. So basically all the white supremacists, including Big Daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Who else? No, there was a bunch of people. I can't remember all the names now, but it was like a star-studded sort of crossover thing, and somehow I weaseled my way in there. Yeah, it was pretty interesting, guys. I featured on a video by Afroforum who are putting a video together about should the old SA flag be banned.
The answer is no. Like, I don't understand why that's even a question.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think everyone who else was on it? It was a whole. Oh, Mpiake was on that video as well. I mean, he was also on that video, and a whole bunch of people. And we all recorded it separately. Like we didn't actually meet up with each other.
Yeah, I remember that. Like a couple of weeks ago, they called for submissions, like record a short video clip explaining why, or something like that, and then send it in. Something to that effect. Okay. So
yeah,
obviously
and
the conclusion is no. Like
all of us said no, and we all presented some good arguments. I tweeted it. You guys are welcome to check it out. Check out my part in it. But yeah, no, we all said no for various reasons. My mom actually watched that video, and she's like, she said, well done. I was impressed by your argument. I was like, that felt good.
nice.
That's like when
so
mom
sweet.
puts your drawing on the and for someone like her to say that, someone who actually lived in apartheid, her and my grandmother, it tells you a lot as to why and where things are going with the banning of flags and things like that.
It's just I saw that and I did think about sending something in, but in the end, the work swallowed me alive, so I didn't. But I've thought about that a lot, and it's just like ultimately it's just a distraction. Like the flag doesn't do anything to anyone anymore. It's a flag. the people that's the hardcore people, there's like maybe a couple hundred of them, and you never see them because they're out on farms somewhere. Like, it's not
Yeah. And
even.
AfriForum started, it was Adam Struth who started the video by saying, we strongly discourage you from flying this flag, but,
Yeah.
and they'll still get dogpiled. Poor AfriForum will still get dogpiled on this.
No, of course they
And
will. Although, interesting, I saw one of the most woke left feminist PhD gender pronouns in the bio sort, which is always a warning sign.
lesbian dance theory specialist.
Possibly, I don't know, but
Yeah.
PhD candidate, so of course.
PhD in lesbian dance theory,
Yeah. Tweeting about how the IRR is like the premier white supremacy organization now. So the heat's off AfriForum, guys. It's now the IRR.
Is it down? Okay.
That centrist liberal think tank who tells us racism isn't a problem, they're the white supremacists now. I saw that and I'm like, okay, for people who are so invested in communication and language and meaning and all the rest, you really do not understand how to use words, do you? Because you can't just call every fucking thing racist. Right? You motherfuckers read Jacques Derrida, but you did not understand him.
Oh.
Right? Like...
Yeah. It's just... wow. I feel like...
And how come you're always PhD candidates? Oh my god.
I have nothing more to say on this, actually. Like, how could you be that bad? It's just...
I know. I know.
Okay, never mind.
The thing is, I'm like... yeah, I can't. Hang on, just give me a sec. I can't deal with the fact. No, so there's... You know what? You know what? I'm starting to understand the pattern now. Because there's a number of different South Africas you can grow up in. You can grow up in rural South Africa, poor black, where your main thing is getting to a major city, or you can grow up in this very isolated bubble. And I'm seeing some of these bubble South Africans attempt to grapple with the idea of understanding the world around them, and they're failing. So one of them was an MD at a marketing company, which is always for some reason they're very opinionated. And he was he doesn't agree with the Purple Cow's stance on guns. And that became a whole conversation. And to him, it's I kept pointing out, well, guy, we can't ban all the guns. Yes, it works in Australia and Switzerland because they don't have 60% unemployment and the highest inequality and a failing economy. It's different situations.
Well, also the gun ban in Australia, the rate of gun violence was already declining before the buyback and all that.
Yeah, it's like guns don't shoot people, people do. You need people to operate the guns. Surely the people are an important factor in gun violence, but no, okay, it's the guns.
My Smith & Wesson has never broken out of its vault and shot anyone.
Although that would be a baller, Stephen King movie, just the guns come to life.
Wogan slept at my place and surprisingly didn't get Oscar Pistorius at all.
Yeah, and I did even lock myself in the bathroom once, but that was just to prevent people from bursting in because I'm paranoid like that. But I didn't get shot once, guys. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
I can certify that.
Yeah.
I am not just a perfectly timed recording that Wotan is busy editing into his own stream. I do actually still live.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I was discussing that with the old Conscious Caracal that yesterday again, is that people people see us on the show and you see other people on the show, but do you realize that we still have to go to work in the morning? We still have, we don't just do this show. We still have to go to work.
Speak for yourself. Literally all I do is sit at this desk all the day. All day, every day.
We still have to do something other than the show in the morning. That's...
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, so the point that you diverge from is these South Africans. Sorry, so I was talking about the multiple South Africans before you sidelined us. And one of them is clearly from this side of South Africa who he's never lived outside a major city. He was privately educated, I'm guessing. Always lived in this kind of bubble of either lived in a gated estate or, lived in a very good area. And so in his whole life, he cannot comprehend why anyone should need a gun. And it's like, okay.
Of course he can't.
Yeah, and it's like, and I met a bunch of people like this, and you try arguing logically with them. It's like, well, to them, the logical position is that no one should have guns because there's no reason to use them because they personally have never experienced that. And I'm like, that's
Of course,
adorable.
because if you haven't experienced it,
Then
then
it literally hasn't happened to anyone, right? Like the whole world is what you see, and it's like, it is so adorable that your entire conception of the universe revolves around your own experience. I'm happy for you, but also there's another 54 million people out there who don't see the world the same way you do, and they do have different priorities. And I just like the whole thing, and I keep going back to this in these arguments, is that there's a difference between being pro-gun and being pro-gun rights. And the moment you try to reason from first principles, you cannot have a society that is liberal but bans guns. It doesn't fit together. It's one can't
incongruous.
follow from the other. So it's like you need to, incongruous. There we go. That's the word. You can't have that. So it's like, and this guy eventually is just like, after a couple of tweets, I think he realized that he was tangling himself up, and he's like, okay, well, good night. He just kind of very politely told me to piss off, which is fine, because like there's this thread now out there of somebody who thinks they have a handle on the world coming into contact with somebody like myself who tries to go by the numbers and the data. And we are, guys, just FYI, we are not living in Australia or Sweden. We're living in South Africa, guys. It's a very different country than the one you're used to if everything in your life always works. So
Yeah.
that's just like, but the thing is, it doesn't even matter because you see, every time I think about this podcast episode that I listened to once with these two old white guys talking about how they're going to vote ANC. And that's besides the point. The interesting thing was they somehow feel like their vote is material to the ANC success. Like they're so important to the ANC that
Of course.
whether
of
or not
course.
they vote is like very consequential. And I'm just like, no, it isn't. You do realize white people are a diminishing population group in South Africa. If every single white person voted for the same party, it would not attain any majority anyway. Like, you guys do realize that? Your votes are meaningless. It's one man, one vote, not, your vote isn't weighted by your socioeconomic status. Your vote counts the
Which would be an
same.
interesting experiment.
Sorry?
Which would be an interesting experiment.
No, you know what? I used to think so. I used to think maybe the smartest, wealthiest, most educated people should be the ones voting. But the more I see these Wits PhD candidates, the more worried I get that education.
Whoa. Going to Wits doesn't mean you're smart. In fact, my new policy for Wits is that
Go for it.
I do not consider you to be smart if you went to Wits unless you studied STEM. I have one friend, my buddy Tim, who's actually a nuclear physicist. He actually worked at the LHC in
Switzerland, in CERN.
Switzerland, and he went to Edinburgh University, and he's an actual literal nuclear physicist. Okay,
Yeah.
He's smart. So when somebody says they went to Wits, I automatically assume that there's two versions of Wits. There's STEM Wits, which is still decent and you're a smart person, and then there's everything else.
Yeah, there's humanities Wits where you're not.
It's just an absolute shit show. And this isn't to dunk on the humanities. I'm just dunking on the humanities at Wits, based on the caliber of people that they produce.
There's a movie. I need to actually just find this quickly. I actually want to see it again. Sorry. I forget the name. It'll come back to me in a few minutes. There's a movie about a guy who thinks he's joining an organization and he's becoming a spy, but in reality, they're sent him to a bunch of conferences where they brainwash all the attendees to turn them into sleeper agents.
Yes, I've watched it as well.
Yes. What was that movie called?
It had Lucy Liu in it.
Yes.
And then he thinks he's a double agent and whatever.
Yeah, and then it's like the whole thing is that he just ends up being a corporate spy. But fuck, I'll find it. Hang on. It was like an early 2000s movie.
And not like
I think I've got it.
Charlie's Angels early 2000.
Yes, it's called Cypher 2002.
Yes.
Starring Jeremy Northam, Lucy Liu, Nigel Bennett. Yes. Okay. So basically, whenever I think of the Wits, or actually any of these progressive humanities departments, I always picture the conference rooms in that movie Cypher, where everyone just gets drugged and then like hypnotized and then brainwashed, because I'm pretty sure Humanities sucks the brains out of you when you study.
Yes.
They don't teach you anything, they just pull everything out.
It's a fantastic. It's a fantastic movie, though. I strongly recommend people watch it.
Oh, dude, it's got a 6.8 on IMDb after... Dude, it's 17 years ago. Holy fuck. Okay, I'm clearly reaching this phase of life where, like, anything prior to 2010
It's okay.
reminds
It's
me of how
okay.
old I am.
Accept it. Accept it. Accept it. Like, let it flow through you. Let it flow through
That's
you.
all I can do. It's, you know. But no, I remember I love the movie because of the... I love movies for their special effects. Like, good special effects always gets me. Especially when they put the effort into all the small details on things. And Cypher was, like, it was over the top, but I enjoyed it. But, I mean, that's got to be what they do, because they sure as hell don't teach you how to reason, you know? Like, none of this stuff
Which is
reason.
sad, because Humanities was there for, again, it had a purpose. It was... In days of yore, the liberal arts and humanities, it really had a purpose. It was, making sense of the world, and it was one of the greatest mechanisms of human reasoning and moving forward. And then just kablooey, it just imploded.
And then it's like the whole moving forward, but like we got to the point where we've moved about as forward as we can, and now it's just like, well, we have to keep moving somewhere, otherwise everything we do is meaningless, and so let's just absolutely go to shit or something. So I also remember that in exactly the same year, the other Lucy Liu movie was Ballistic, X vs. Sever, starring Antonio Banderas, and the two of them are like assassins going after each other.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm going to close the IMDb page because there's like a lot of nostalgia.
Lucy Liu can assassinate me if she lets me hit it like once. Just once.
I'm dealing with the 2000s nostalgia right now. Oh my god, Charlie's Angels. Now I'm closing that page. No.
Yeah, I mentioned, yeah.
That was a different time, man. Like
it was a different time.
I saw the most hilarious thing. There's a movie, one of the old ones that I love. It's based on a Philip K. Dick short story. It's called...
Oh, I love Philip K. Dick. He's a great author.
Yep, it's called The Adjustment Bureau. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
I believe I did see it at some point.
It was a 2008 release, starring Matt Damon and some girl whose name I can never remember. And the whole plot of the movie is that...
Matt Damon.
Like, the whole plot of the movie is that, like, there's this shadowy organization of, like, semi-immortal people, I guess, or maybe not, it's never clear. But their whole role is to guide humanity, and they do that by manipulating events. And it's a romantic story at the end of the day. These two were supposed to end up together, then they weren't, and it's like this whole huge thing. But there's this moment right at the start. Matt Damon plays a congressman who's running for Senate, and there's like a political race on. And there's a point that sinks his campaign when a photo comes out of him, like, mooning a bunch of college students or something. And it's like in the movie that like crashes his campaign, and there's people on CNN like, people expect maturity from Congress. And I'm like, watching that in a post-Trump era, it's like, you guys are fucking adorable. Have you seen what happened? Like, Trump grabbed them by the pussy and still got to be president. Okay, that's the world we live in.
I think that's an indictment against Trump. It's an indictment of how shit of a campaign Hillary Clinton had.
But also
you lost to the grab them by the pussy guy.
It's like, that's got to hurt. But also, oh my god, how did we get here?
Creepy Uncle Joe's officially running his campaign. He's accepted. Joe Biden has announced his candidacy, and
I can't deal.
There was one point. I think it was Ben Shapiro who quoted his Joe Biden tweet where he's like, "If you had one message to say, what would you say to the rest of the world about your campaign?" And he said, "We're going back to the way America used to be." And then Ben Shapiro quotes it. He's like, "So he wants to make America great again?" I'm like, yes.
Oh my god, MAGA V2, Creepy Uncle Joe, the remix.
Fantastic. I was like, mwah, mwah. I was like, so he wants to make it like that's basically what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm convinced more than ever now it's social media. Hey, like if you ever ask why are things getting so crazy, it has to be because I just like this 2008 movie. It was full of phone booths, flip phones, laptops that
Flip
weren't Apple,
phones.
SMSs, no WhatsApp, no social media, no fucking nothing. And it's like, you know what? I'm pretty sure that was when life made sense, and then Facebook happened, and after that, life was never the same. I swear to God, it's social media, dude.
Hmm.
There's a study that estimates that by the year 2070, there will be
Hmm.
more dead people on Facebook than living people. Just for fun.
2070.
In 50 years, there'll be more dead than living people on Facebook.
Well, that makes the presupposition that Facebook will still be a thing in 50 years.
That's actually an even more terrifying prospect. I
No,
hope
it
not.
does. It makes the presupposition that it will still, which I doubt actually.
But even if Facebook goes under, they will still be sitting on these enormous server farms full of personal data that can be sold in like an auction to any dark ass company who wants to profile literally 2 billion people, and via the social graph, like another 500 million easy. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, that people you may know sidebar widget is profoundly creepy because it finds gaps in the social graph and just assumes that you know people even if they're not on Facebook. It's fucking creepy what these guys do. I don't know if I've ever told you about this.
No,
Haven't
go
I?
on.
Okay. So Facebook, I don't know if they still do it, but in 2016 they were doing it.
I have my
They
suspicions as to how the mechanisms of that work, but yeah.
they mine everything, and so one of the things
Mm.
they've done for years is they don't give you the feedback, but they do it internally. They run entity detection on your instant messages. So if two people join Facebook and they both talk about their friend Jonathan, their social graph infers that there's a friend called Jonathan in relation to those two.
Of course, right.
Then when
Yeah.
you sign up and you call yourself Jonathan, it goes, oh, you might know Ted and Chris. Even though there's like nothing public to link you to, the fact that you've both talked about Jonathan in private will pop up on the social graph.
Of course, yeah.
Same thing with contact harvesting and all the rest. So they suck up everyone's contacts. They see, oh, these 5 people all have this phone number called Chrissy in their contact list. They must be related. So Facebook not only has all the data you give them, they've got all the inferences as well. So it's like they probably can chart the lives of about 3.5 billion people. It's probably one company has intel on half the planet. Like, okay, this is not scary at all, guys. This is not the future dystopia scenario. Somehow. I'm just trying to convince myself because it is.
Well, it could be worse.
Yeah, it could be China.
No, we could get hit by like a rogue cloud of strange matter.
Just, dude, Facebook is strange matter. Nothing can get worse than this.
No, actual strange matter would be fucking horrifying.
I'm saying that because I want the meteorite now. And I want the meteorite to specifically just hit like wherever the offices and the data centers are. That's it.
Is that what you're hoping for?
So just like a targeted meteor strike to liberate us all from the curse of social media.
Yeah. No, okay. So
Anyway,
that versus strange matter. Strange matter is a theoretical type of matter that exists within neutron stars that is so dense that okay, this is the very overarching version of it, but it's basically like space lava made from the inside of neutron stars, and it's a theoretical thing because we've yet to observe it. But basically, what it does is it's produced inside a neutron star, and everything strange matter touches gets converted into strange matter as well. So when a neutron star spews this stuff out, it's like spewing out space lava. And if just a tiny droplet of that were to hit the sun or Earth, we wouldn't see that. But eventually, it would turn our entire planet into this gooey, strange matter stuff. So have fun, guys. Sleep well tonight.
Still
Thinking
better than
about
Facebook. It's like at this point, I really do feel sympathy for. Is it still a thing where people that are slightly insane will march around in the street waving signs like the end is near? Is that still a thing? Or is it only
I think
every
so, yeah.
movies? Like, in
I
either
think
case,
so.
I feel sympathy for those people now because it's really I want the end to come.
No, I want to see. I still want to live long enough to see like the 2020 American election.
Well, we will see that, and I will probably be on here to commentate about it as it unfolds.
It's gonna be lit AF right now. The Democratic
Oh.
field is now totally full, and it's amazing. And I want to see how it goes down.
So hang on. So is Joe Biden on the Democrat side?
Yes.
So we literally
Creepy
have like
Uncle Joe.
America's creepy old uncle, and then a bunch of like woke left people of color
There's
females in the same
creepy
running.
Uncle Joe. Cory Booker, who there's
Spartacus
creepy Uncle Joe.
is Spartacus, motherfucker.
Spartacus. Then we have Bernie Sanders, who wrote a best-selling book. Also, I want some pudding cups.
Shit, no, the book. Oh my god, did you see this? Because somebody nailed him on the fact that his book was like extremely successful, and his comeback was basically, well, if you write a book, you can also be a millionaire. And it's like, interesting capitalist defense from the hard socialist. Like,
thank you for that advice, Bernard.
Thanks, Bernie. Thanks for advancing the idea that people can produce something of value and fairly acquire a large amount of wealth in the process. Thank you, Bernie Sanders. Captain, tax the rich. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was just amazing. It's like, dude, like, but the thing is, like, it doesn't matter, because I've started to accept the fact that there are some people who think and apply their reason to try and determine the truth, and there are people who just feel their way to the truth, and if it feels good, they'll defend it, even if it's like incoherent. So of course, people are going to be like, yes, he deserves to be rich because for some reason, and also we should tax the rich, but not him. He's a good rich person or whatever. So he'll be fine. But still, I love that sort of. It's like he could have gone, I'm a true socialist, I'm going to donate all this money or something. But of course he doesn't do that. Like, he earned it fairly, like every other capitalist out there.
Yeah, of course. Welcome, Bernard.
Yeah, well, welcome to the Inanda Club.
Not like your boy. Wait, was that the club Julius joined?
Yes.
It's your boy Julius Silo Malema joins one of the most elite country clubs in the country. Go, wonderful, and like my mom suggested, I would like to invite every EFF voter to go and squat on that land. Take it, like, go ahead.
Yeah.
Isn't that what your commander said? Your leader, my leader, commander.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So
just take that land.
You guys wanted leadership? Well, here we go. You're being led to the Inanda Country Club. Go camp out, build some shacks, and demand services. Go do it.
Yeah. And if there's no, well, then we're like, why not, my leader?
Oh, my God. Such a hypocrite. So there's two more things. We're kind of close to the end of our time here, but there's just two more amazing stories I want to point out. First, every analyst who said when the EFF was formed that this was just a long game to get Malema back into the ANC at a more senior level, it's panning out. AS Magashule has asked Malema to rejoin the ANC, and Malema's flip-flopping, but of course that's probably going to happen eventually, because everyone knows the EFF is all about Malema. It's not actually about the EFF. Except for the people in the EFF who legitimately believe Malema's fighting for them, guys.
He's not.
You guys do not understand how leverage works in politics, and I'm so sorry you're going to find out the hard way when him and Shivambu just fuck off back to the ANC and leave you guys to fend for yourselves. So, sincere condolences ahead of time for that. The other thing is that the government's trying to regulate Airbnb. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, well, that's, I guess, your tech topic. I've one quick one, but that's going to work out swimmingly, guys.
So there's a bill, and I want to just get the version of it that we can publicly comment on. I think there is actually a window for that. But basically, Derek Honeycomb, like the one like white guy left in the ANC, swear to God. Other than Carl Niehaus, who is a bad guy anyway, but Derek Honeycomb proposed this thing where it's like the government should be able to regulate short-term stay operators, vaguely worded, but they mean Airbnb. And among other things, they want to regulate how much they can charge and how many nights a person can stay. And their rationale is some people are getting more nights than others, so we have to step in to regulate and make sure that other operators also get stays. And my immediate reaction was, if the other people are not running a good service, they do not deserve customers. Do you not understand how the free market... No, of course you don't understand how the free market works. You're a bloody communist.
That's why you're a politician.
Fuck. So anyway, like this thing, Airbnb has, like, everyone who runs a successful business they've profited from this. Like, people have taken their retirement homes and rented them out for extra income. People have invested in this. They've started businesses. Like, there are ancillary services. There are listing services, and like ISPs are catered to them. Airbnb has been a marvel for the small business economy, but it's all the hotels and guest houses that are pushing this now. They're trying to edge Airbnb out by using the government as leverage to create laws to favor them. And I'm like,
Good
guys,
luck.
yeah,
Good luck.
this, just FYI, this is crony capitalism in progress. This is exactly what it looks like. The incumbents use their government leverage to create rules that favor themselves. This is not capitalism. This is crony capitalism. Your PSA for the day. So anyway, that's like just another thing we got to deal with. I just freaking hope.
Wonderful day in the life.
South Africa, man. Sorry, and your tech topic. You had a thing.
Oh, well, it's just an extension of last week's thing about Foldgate with the Samsung Fold.
I started seeing memes about this, man. It's getting wild.
No, apparently tech, like, who was it? Fuck, I can't remember now, but it was some famous tech YouTuber got clay stuck in like the folds of the fold phone, and people are complaining, and now some people have taken off the waterproofing layer on the phone somehow, and they're complaining about that. I'm like, guys, it's a foldable phone, and you are using modeling clay to stick it in certain positions. What the fuck do you think's gonna happen? Am I taking crazy pills here?
Yes, we all are. It's in the water, I'm sure. It's making all the frogs gay or something. I don't know.
Merc, well, I don't like to put them on. Term frogs gay. I mean, it was just something that annoyed me. I was like, are you this illiterate at technology? You, a famous tech YouTuber, that you're surprised when a folding mechanism of a phone that used modeling clay to prop a certain way now has clay residue in it.
I saw a photo of somebody. I don't know if it's true or not, and I don't care because I thought it was funny. There was a photo captioned, somebody took advice of fixing a graphics card from an internet forum, and the photo is of an open oven and a tray sticking out with a melted graphics card on it. And I'm just like, was the advice to put it in the oven? Like, what were you doing? And I looked at that and I thought, this reminds me of all the times that people just get caught out. And I still think the number one prank of all time was when 4chan, back in the good old days, like 6 years ago, convinced people that the new version of iOS made their iPhones waterproof.
Yes.
And then a bunch of people tested that, and obviously it didn't work. And they blamed the internet.
Also, I just want to know, how are fold phones not technically now the resurrection of flip phones?
Maybe. I think the true resurrection is going to be the new Motorola Razr. I'm holding out hope that they're going to release a good foldable phone, or a good clamshell at least. No, it's like this. The one product that we should have had years ago that Microsoft killed, and this is your homework, if you like tech homework, is the Microsoft Courier tablet. They actually did design. It was a tablet shaped like a book that had 2 displays in it, and the whole thing was that you could use it like a book, but it was also a tablet. I kind of missed the fact that never happened. Microsoft just killed it early. But yeah, for the foldable phones, I wouldn't go for it until like the 3rd generation at least.
Same. That is our tech advice to you guys. Don't hold off on it.
Yeah, there's a concept in IT procurement called N-1. It's like always be one version behind, because that's the one that you can actually rely on. For these phones, it's like N-3. Like, just let them figure that shit out for themselves before you spend your hard-earned money on it.
Yeah.
Dude, all right, that's literally all I've got energy for this week. It's been a...
Same.
Dude, I'm back to work next week.
You never stop working.
I did this week. In my defense, I only worked half days most of the week on my leave. But also, it's like, being a freelancer, you're never actually on leave. It's like you can try taking leave, but all that does is that it'll get some customers to leave you alone some of the time. That's the most you can hope for. So
yeah, well, that's fair.
Yeah. All right. So next week, do we have a guest, Mr. Hype Man? Hit us up.
Well, it's looking like possibly, just maybe, we may have the man, the legend himself, the thinking, living beard himself. That is Quentin, aka Psychologist on Twitter. Um, no, but have you seen the man's beard? Like when on Conscious's show, like I was like, damn, I might have to get like a beard prosthetic if he comes on, so I don't feel insecure. Like,
I'm just gonna wear the loudest, most colorful cartoon shirt I can find. That's my
I,
defense.
Mr. Hype Man. Yes, I am now the show's hype man, guys. That's who I am.
Yeah,
I am the hype man.
he's the CMO of NoScript Media.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That and again, guys, death, taxes, and justice. We are working on it. As much as much as we like to market, we are working on it. It could be a thing by 2023. You will see. Death, taxes, and justice. Myself,
Oh,
Wogan May, and good old Conscious Caracal, with guest appearances by Roman Kamenak and Kantham Flay, with Roman as the police chief. It will be a thing, guys. I will slam my gun and badge on the table and say, this is bullshit, chief, and hand him
I've
in.
probably the biggest thing I learned about you over this birthday is that all you want out of life is like a short detective noir film where you're like the chewed up old gumshoe detective, and just have
Yes,
those
that's
scenes.
all I. Well, either that, or to marry like Lou, like one or the other.
And for some reason, have them both happen in like the same story because it like makes no
Yeah,
sense. But
yeah, yeah.
all right, well, yeah, that's all for this week, I think. You can find us at noscriptshow.com and on Twitter at noscriptshow.
Yeah.
Cheers and have an excellent week. Just remember, it's election season. Don't believe everything you read.
Stay safe, guys. Cheers.